Hello, everyone, and happy new year. Best of wishes to everyone. Today is 31st of December, of course, and in few hours' time, we are about to enter new year, isn't it? 2026, and let's hope next year, this new year, gonna be more peaceful at least for this world and more prosperous. And I believe our friends from Australia, New Zealand, that part of the world are already uh, like maybe a few hours from New Year, and they're gonna celebrate first, of course. And let's congratulate to them all. Probably they're already celebrating, which is great, of course. Although, dear friends. Of course, we have to go through some news in this live stream, and well, as headlines said, dear friends, we have some update. We have some update potentially on recent NATO, I will say, strike in Novgorod on residency of the Russian president Vladimir Putin, and this update is that this residency allegedly was not just an ordinary residency of the Russian president, but this residency included command and control center for operations, for command of the operations during the nuclear war, which means that this residency was basically part of a Russian nuclear triad, and potentially this is the reason attack on Russian nuclear triad that caused this much headlines worldwide and this many strong reactions from Russian Federation, and also condemnations of the strike from number of countries from all over the world. Because we should keep in mind, dear friends, that according to Russian nuclear doctrine, attack on Russian nuclear triad, on Russian strategical forces, is reasoning for nuclear retaliation. So, if this report is correct, by the way, if these informations that are circulating on internet is correct, and in Novgorod, in that residency, there was a command and control center of Russian nuclear triad, then that changes everything, isn't it? That changes everything. Theoretically speaking, Russia is in right now, based on Russian nuclear deterrence policies, to strike back with nuclear forces. And this is very serious, right? What will Russia do is anybody's guess, of course, but this is definitely a major update and information that is circulating on internet right now about this command and headquarters of the Russian Federation in Novgorod, in case of nuclear war, in case of large-scale war, is originated from former aide of Ukraine's so-called president, Arestovich. Yesterday, or day before yesterday, Arestovich had an interview on one of the channels, one of the YouTube channels, and he was asked if he believes in these reports from Russian side about attacks on Novgorod, even though Kiev regime is denying any attacks. And Western ruling class was very quick, and Western so-called media was very quick to take on Kiev regime's side and go into full denial of any attacks on a Novgorod residency. And Arestovich said that based on his information, I remind you, dear friends, Arestovich is one of the most informed people that is commenting anything on internet right now, right? He is a former aide of president of Ukraine, and he is closely allied, I believe, with the current administration in the US. And when he says that based on his information, such an attack actually take place, and this is not just ordinary not just any ordinary residency of the president, but one that includes in it command and control center of strategical forces, I think his statement is kind of believable, isn't it? Russian side, Russian officials did not make no statement in terms of command and control center of strategical forces being located there, but yet again, reaction of Russian officials speaks volume, isn't it? I remind you, dear friends, that even Kremlin was attacked at once. It was 2023, isn't it? Kremlin was attacked, and even then, Moscow's reaction was much more restrained than it is now. Even when Kiev regime and its NATO backers, under leadership of UK and US, targeted their strategical airfields of the Russian strategical aviations, even then Russian reaction was kind of more restrained than in regards to this Novgorod residency. And this speaks volume, isn't it? There should be a reason for such a strong reaction. And also there have to be a reason why number of countries worldwide, by the way, from India and China to Middle Eastern countries and African countries and Latin American countries, those countries condemn this attack for a reason. And this reason, I think, is that probably there was a command and control center in Novgorod, and still is, by the way, of Russian nuclear Triad. Yet again, if true, theoretically speaking, based on Russian nuclear doctrine, Russia is in right now to retaliate with their nuclear weapons. Of course, Moscow will not go this far. Moscow will not retaliate with their nukes, and I'm not sure Moscow will even retaliate on the commander or on decision-making centers in Kiev, as many other commentators on internet are predicting or suggesting. I think Russian president will not make political decision to take out leadership of this Western-backed terrorist regime of Zelensky. So, therefore, Moscow will call retaliatory strike on any next relatively large-scale strike that Russian militaries are planning on military and logistical infrastructure of the Kiev regime, energy infrastructure. But if anybody is expecting that Russia will take out leadership of this terrorist regime in Kiev, no, man, not happening. I don't believe in that anyways, right? So yeah, this is a big update, by the way. This is a big update, of course, and more information is needed. Yet again, even though reports are circulating now on the internet about this command and control center being there in Novgorod residency of strategical nuclear forces, let's wait if Moscow will make such a statement, because until now, all we know from Russian side is that residency was attacked, and no details, by the way. No additional details on that. Anyways, topic is of course making headlines all over the world, and let's go through some of the news, by the way, in this regard. Financial Times, Western propaganda outlet, noticed, somewhat surprisingly, that Ukraine is under, not Ukraine, Kiev regime, by the way, this Western-backed terrorist regime of Zelensky, that represents a Western ruling class, not the people that are living in Ukraine, right? So let's be clear here. So Financial Times, nevertheless, is acknowledging that Zelensky's regime is experiencing certain diplomatic pressure over attacks on Russia. So Kiev regime has come under intense diplomatic pressure after Ukrainian armed forces attempt to attack President Vladimir Putin's residence. Financial Times reports India, Pakistan, UAE, a number of other countries, by the way, I will add, joined Trump in condemning the attack on the Russian leader's residence. And by the way, Trump was quite quick to condemn this attack also, and you tell me why. Probably because this was not just ordinary residency. Regardless of if Putin was there at the time or not, this is a special residency and should be untouchable, because attack on Russian nuclear triad and its infrastructure means next level of escalation, which allows Russia obviously to deploy nuclear weapons. That's very serious, right? And I think this is the reasoning why even Trump was quite quick to condemn this attack. In his own way, he was, strange in his statements, little bit. He said that now it's not time to do such attacks. Well, interesting. When is the right time then for him? Does he think that attack on Russian president and attack on Russian nuclear triad ever has a good time? No, but yet again, Trump being Trump, by the way, it is always difficult to understand what the hell is going on in his freaking brains, right? But he condemned in certain ways, but did condemn, right? So, yes, Financial Times acknowledges this stuff. Also, Lavrov, foreign minister of Russian Federation, Sergei Lavrov, expressed gratitude to their countries worldwide that condemned the attack on Putin's residence. Understandable step from there, and also interesting. And this information gives us an additional indicator that in Novgorod there was no ordinary residency, but something special, right? Because according to media reports, straight after this attack, or information became available about these attacks, number of leaders of European countries, coalition of willing, you can guess that, had a meeting, phone conversation, to be more precise. So European leaders held a phone conversation following the Ukrainian armed forces attack on Vladimir Putin's residence. According to Bloomberg, Western propaganda outlet, European leaders held a meeting, and this is quote, to discuss the situation in Ukraine after Russian president said he would reconsider his country's negotiating position. And this is important, by the way. This is important because, you might be interested in who was participating. So German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, Finnish President Alexander Stubb, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen were also reported to have joined their conversation. This is important because we all understand this attack on Putin's residency was orchestrated by British secret services and authorized by British ruling class. That is by globalists, right? Obviously, they informed CIA. Most likely, they informed CIA about this terrorist attack that they were planning. I find it difficult to believe that MI6 will go ahead, or British ruling class will go ahead with such a scale of provocation without informing their American counterparts. And so CIA most definitely was informed there. I don't know about Trump. Maybe CIA just completely ignored the Trumper and no longer cares to brief him. Or maybe Trump was briefed about it. We don't know, right? But it is interesting that this attack took place or these drones were launched either during this meeting that Trump a few days ago had with Zelensky or straight after. And probably Trump was informed about this attack, and most likely they already had prepared statements if they succeed and if they manage to kill Russian president, if they manage to deal some significant damage to their facility itself, but because all the drones were neutralized on their approach to the residency, and there was no casualties and no significant damage, I guess. Yet again, details have not been revealed, but all we know for now that allegedly there was no casualties, right? And Russian president definitely was not harmed because yesterday, for example, he had numerous activities, numerous meetings, right? And so, whatever the case, this meeting of European leadership also can be indicator that because they knew that this residency was not an ordinary one, that there was a command and control center there for strategical forces, and Moscow had a legal right after attack on that residency based on Russian nuclear doctrine to retaliate and retaliate with the nukes, I guess so-called leaders of a number of European countries panicked, and they spoke with each other. As I said, Russia did not retaliate until now, and I don't think Russia will retaliate either on UK as a mastermind of this attack, or any other NATO member state for that matter, or even on leadership of Western-backed terrorist regime in Kiev. They're going to be no decapitation strike on Kiev regime, as number of commentators are suggesting on the internet. But nevertheless, this information about emergency phone call between European leaders kind of partially, at least, indirectly confirms that this residency was something special. And permanent representative of US in NATO, Matthew Whitaker, stated that US will review intelligence on this attack on Putin's residency. Yet again, by the way, there is so many headlines, so many statements on this topic that this volume of information itself speaks that this was some special location, not an ordinary one, right? And the Russian president, obviously, Russian institution of the Russian president has quite a number of residencies and quite a number of infrastructure, obviously, all over the Russia, for a president to operate from within, right? And some of them are just ordinary residences, some of them are not, and this big volume, high volume of noise around this topic, let's say, is definitely good enough indicator, in my personal opinion, that there was something special there. There was something special. You might ask now, dear friends, yes, but I mean, why you are saying that Moscow will not retaliate? What Moscow gonna do? And obviously, I cannot know what Moscow gonna do, by the way. I have no freaking idea. But based on patterns of the policies that Russian president is implementing in regards to Ukrainian crisis, all I can say is that it is highly unlikely that he will make political decision to take out leadership of this Western-backed terrorist regime in Kiev, or to retaliate on actual masterminds of all the terrorist activities that is being done against Russia. Maybe I'm wrong, by the way. I don't know, but that's my reading of the bigger picture. I don't think even Oreshnik will be used. Many commentators on the internet are saying that, well, Russia will now deploy Oreshniks and will level Bankovo block in Kiev, where administrative buildings are located, including presidential administration's building. But no, man, none of it gonna happen, in my personal opinion, right? Most likely, as Russian militaries always do, by the way, every week, every other week, there is number of targets, right? Military, logistical, and energy infrastructure that Russian military is targeting with quite a number of drones and missiles. And I guess in next several days, another such a strike, long-range strike, is being pre-planned already. And when Russian militaries will launch that attack, that attack will be called as a retaliation for attack on the president's residency. But we all understand that this is just a routine operation of the Russian troops, not really a retaliation in a meaning that everybody means, right? Retaliation for attack on residency. Anyways, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Putin will say this time around that, enough is enough, and let's teach the lesson to our enemies. Theoretically speaking, yes, it's a possibility, but in reality, this is not happening, man. I don't believe that Russian president will make political decision, will take political decision to untie the hands of Russian militaries and security services to actually retaliate in a scale and the force that is necessary to deter our enemies. First of all, globalists and globalist control regimes in Europe, and of course their American allies. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe not. We will find out, by the way. We will find out. It's already like a couple of days have passed and no retaliation yet, isn't it? No Oreshniks are flying nowhere. No Russian tactical nukes are flying nowhere. So, I mean, I guess it's going to stay this way, right? So yes, that's what is happening, by the way. This is a big update. Nevertheless, this is big update. Second attack on Russian nuclear triad. And I think I was correct all along when I was saying that restraint policy of the Russian leadership is inviting upon us more and more trouble, because Western ruling class is getting more and more emboldened, because it seems like they can do literally anything. They can commit literally any crime against Russia with impunity. They are attacking. This is not even second attack, by the way, on Russian nuclear triad. There was a number of attacks, right? Remember, some time ago, there was attack on Russian these strategical airfields where strategical bombers were located. But before that, at least several times, there was attacks on Russian radar stations, early warning radar stations, which is also critical infrastructure of the nuclear triad. And despite these attacks on nuclear triad, despite Russian nuclear doctrine being very clear that attack on nuclear triad, strategical forces, unties, is a reason, gives Moscow legal reasons to retaliate with the nukes. Nothing like that had happened, isn't it? Russia never ever retaliated on UK, really, right? Despite all the terrorist activity of the British ruling class, British secret services and the militaries, Russia never retaliated on US, never retaliated on France, Germany, on any of those countries that are killing Russian citizens, right? And are actively engaged in this proxy war. So yeah, this is pattern, and yeah, I'm afraid this restraint policy of the Kremlin was interpreted, and diplomacy from Moscow's side was interpreted by Western ruling class as a Russian weakness. And they are publicly, openly, by the way, saying that Putin is bluffing. Putin is bluffing. Russia is bluffing. They're not going to do nothing. And you have probably heard these kind of statements from Western representatives of the Western leadership on numerous occasions, right? They don't take us seriously, by the way. That's what happened. Anyways, maybe this time around, Putin will change his attitude. Otherwise, next attacks on Russia gonna be on a bigger scale, right? It's a pattern now. London is increasing its intensifying its terror campaign against Russia, big time, right? And their next attack will be on a next attack gonna be, who knows, man, on much bigger scale than either this attack on airfields that happened recently or attack on Novgorod. We are inviting this trouble upon us, by the way, because if Western ruling class that hate us, if they think that they can do anything against Russia with their complete impunity, I mean, why would they stop? You tell, maybe I'm too freaking idiot, too much of an idiot, right? And I don't understand something. But you tell me, dear friends, why would our enemies stop if they feel like they can go ahead with any level of terrorist attacks on Russia, any level of provocations with impunity? Would they stop? No. It is what it is. And this is the person, by the way, Arestovich, writer, that actually confirmed these attacks on Novgorod residency based on his sources. And once again, he was aide of Zelensky. Now he's in exile, right? At some point, he and Zelensky had some issues, right? And he's in exile now, somewhere in the Western world, by the way, either in US or in Europe, I don't know. And he confirmed that, yes, his sources are telling him that such an attack took place. And he said that this was a nuclear decision-making center, not an ordinary residency, but nuclear decision-making center, right? Which changes everything, man. This means London and Washington orchestrated basically attack on Russian nuclear triad again, while trying to kill Russian president simultaneously. Maybe they had intelligence that, you know what, Putin is there now, and some reports, some commentators even are suggesting that Putin actually is quite often, or was quite often, in that residency. I don't know, is it true or not, but some are even suggesting that Putin was using this residence quite often. Maybe Western secret services had intelligence that, well, Putin is arrived in that residency, he was there, or something like that. They launched this attack in hope that they will not just destroy this command and control center of Russian strategical forces, but also President of Russia. They missed, they failed, but nevertheless, fact itself that such a attack take place is quite telling, quite telling. Some other news now, and well, 86 drones were intercepted overnight by Russian air defense systems, according to latest update of Defense Ministry. Gerasimov visited headquarters of the North Group of forces, and he said that this group, North Group of forces, have to continue offensive operations, successful offensive operations to further enlarge security zone on next to Russian borders, and that's exactly what's going to happen. This visit of Gerasimov in the headquarters of the North Group of Forces can be seen as an indicator that soon Russian militaries will activate their operations in not just in Kharkov region, but also in Sumy and Chernigov regions, to be expected, really. Also, dear friends, Russian armed forces liberated 2 more settlements in past 24 hours. One settlement in Zaporozhye region, Lukyanovskaya, and another one, Boguslavka, in the Kharkov region, south of Kupiansk. And when it comes to Kupiansk, by the way, I was not really monitoring past several days Western propaganda on terms of Kupiansk. They are still pushing this narrative that Kupiansk is in control of Kiev regime or not. Did they stop pushing this nonsense? I hope they did, because it was laughable at this point, right? This cop that Kiev regime and their Western allies were coming up with, right? In reality, by the way, Kupiansk was always in Russian hands, just because certain districts of the city were infiltrated by small groups. It does not mean that Kiev regime was regained control over anything, really, right? And you know what? Let's go through some map, by the way, right now, and including and talk about some developments on the line of contact. Russian troops, I saw reports, by the way, that Russian troops conducted operations north of Moskovka, northwestern side of Moskovka, and if true, wow, unfortunately, it seems like it sound good. Sound is good, dear friends. Something is happening with the notebook, by the way. Again. Unbelievable, man. Sound is good. Oh, am I back? I tried to open map, by the way, and it froze. notebook just froze. Well, unfortunate, by the way. I was hoping to open them up and show you certain areas. But anyways, okay. I can just tell you about report that Russian troops were conducting operations on the northern western side of Muskoka settlement. And Muskoka, by the way, itself is located on the northern western side of Kupiansk. And as you know, Western propaganda was pushing this crazy narrative that western part of Kupiansk and northern part of Kupiansk is under control of Kiev regime's forces and stuff like that. I mean, really? If they are in control of half of the city, basically, if not more, then how, for God's sake, Russian troops end up in the northern western side of Muskoka settlement? How? What's going on here? And videos, by the way, are circulating about this Russian troop movement in that area. So it's all propaganda, by the way. All Western world can do is push some freaking crazy narratives, propaganda. That's about it, right? I said many times before, in no circumstances, enemies of Russia will be able to regain initiative on any of the directions, including Kupiansk, by the way. They might try. They might try to infiltrate certain areas to conduct numerous suicidal operations, and they do, by the way, right? But it does not mean that they have an initiative or they are regaining control of anything. No, man, it's Russian forces that are advancing, and even in some cases, even Western propaganda outlets nowadays are forced basically to acknowledge that speed of Russian advances is kind of unprecedented since 2022, which is correct, isn't it? Which is a factually accurate statement. And dear friends, let's continue with some other news. After all, it's 31st of December. I understand everyone is preparing for to greet New Year and celebrate. You see, I took my this sweater in some New Year's vibe, kind of. So let's go through some other news, sir. I'll try to be faster. Interesting video I saw, dear friends, this morning of Kiev regime's troops crossing the Dnieper River and surrendering to Russian troops. I'm gonna show you this video. What a great decision of these troops of Kiev regime, by the way. They saved their lives. Right? They refuse to sacrifice their lives for geopolitical agenda of the Kiev regime and this terrorist and mass murderer elements in Kiev. And this is their video itself. So you see, Russian, probably Kiev regime's troops, this unit that surrendered, contacted Russian militaries that they were about to cross the Dnieper and surrender. And you see, Russian militaries were ready to receive them. And well, they are quite organized. They're straight away, hands up. They are probably without weapons, or weapons were in the boat itself, right? They lay down. And yes, of course, Russian troops are cautious just in case, obviously, right? Because things happened. But yes, I can see like 3-4 enemy soldiers that decided to save their lives and surrender. And this is definitely best decision of their lives, by the way, and a very risky one, because they were lucky because they were not spotted by their own comrades. They were lucky that they were not spotted by detachment units of the Kiev regime, these neo-Nazi formations and foreign mercenaries that are targeting Ukrainian soldiers that are trying to either retreat or surrender. So they managed successfully to cross the Dnieper and surrender. Okay, they're gonna be okay now. They're gonna be okay now, and Kiev regime's forces are on the brink of complete breakdown, by the way. I'm quite sure about it. Giving it another couple of months, and when we might actually see domino effect is taking place when when sectors will begin, when collapse of defense lines of Kiev regime will happen on a sectoral scale, not just on a local scale, but on a sectoral scales. And something like that can be already absorbed on Zaporozhye direction, for example, right? Also, in northern parts of DPR, I mean, Seversk was taken, by the way, Seversk was taken by Russian forces in a matter of days when final assault began. Gulyai-Polye, by the way, was liberated in less than 4 weeks. And mostly because there was clearly elements of collapse of defense lines of the Kiev regime, right? Unauthorized withdrawals of entire battalions in Gulyai-Polye, by the way, that was, isn't it? Russian troops advanced so rapidly that headquarters of one of the battalions, I guess in panic, left literally everything they could left in a headquarters. Notebooks, radios, maps, by the way, battle maps with all the locations of their own troops, right? So if this is not the collapse of sectoral scale, then what it is? And also, dear friends, I remind you that Russian troops established control of the Stepnogorsk also on the western flank of Zaporozhye sector, right? And advance continues. I guess Orekhov is next. And of course, I'm not military expert. I cannot know for sure how long it will take for Russian militaries to liberate Orekhov. But based on rapid advances that we are observing nowadays, maybe a couple of weeks, like, I don't know, 3-4 weeks also, and Orekhov will be fully liberated too. Maybe even faster than that. Who knows? We will find out, isn't it? Meanwhile, in the Western countries, by the way, among Russian enemies, there is a kind of a chaos nowadays, right? Because many countries are realizing leadership, let's say. I don't want to designate countries as to be our enemies, but leadership of those countries clearly are, right? And there is certain chaos among this leadership of their Western countries from anti-Russian coalition. And Italy is a clear demonstration of that, isn't it? Because one day Prime Minister might say something on one direction, Defense Minister might say something opposite. Next day, Deputy of the Defense Minister might say very different stuff day after, and Foreign Ministry will say even more different stuff. What's going on in Italy, by the way? Can they talk to each other and come up with some one statement, right, or one policy? And for example, we have reports that Italy's officials said that there are going to be no more weapons transfers to Kiev regime from Italy. Only Italy will continue to assist all the Kiev regime with some sort of a humanitarian aid. After this statement was made, additional statements come out from Rome that Kiev regime will not supply offensive weapons no more to Kiev regime, but will continue to supply defensive weapon systems, air defense systems. For example, some chaotic stuff, by the way. Some chaotic stuff is going on there. On Monday, for example, the Italian Council of Ministers adopted the decree on the continuation of support for Kiev authorities in 2026 and officially give priorities to provision of civilian assistance, but with air defense means. Although earlier statements were that there are going to be no more weapons for Kiev regime, and I guess there is a confusion among leadership of many other countries too in Europe, among this anti-Russian coalition, because they begin to realize that they lost. They beginning to realize that yes, they lost, and no matter what they're gonna do now, they are on the losing side, right? This cannot be changed, and they are trying now to minimize consequences of their crimes that they committed against Russia and against their own people, I will argue. Again, in case of Italy, Italian government committed numerous crimes, not just against Russia, but against their own people, right? Because they were sending money and weapons on expense of Italian taxpayers, obviously, that never asked for this, right? German government did the same. British government did the same, by the way. French government did the same, and they continue to do so, right? But clearly, on the periphery of this anti-Russian coalition, which is led by US, UK, France, and Germany, but on the periphery of this anti-Russian alliance, in countries like Italy, Spain, Portugal, even Netherlands, by the way, in some ways, Belgium, some alternative opinions began circulating, right? And this is clearly damage control on their part. I think this is clearly damage control, by the way, on their part. So let's see. Italy's government, of course, committed. I mean, those morons, man. Those morons destroyed their quite a good relationships with Russia. For what exactly? For what exactly, man? And Italy was very much beloved by Russians, right? There was numerous tourists, by the way. Many people were investing heavily in Italy. And there was a cooperation on a big time, on quite a good level between the businesses of the two countries. And this Meloni's criminal regime destroyed this all. And for what exactly? I don't know. Nothing to be said about Germany, by the way, or France. I mean, Germany was among EU member states, by the way, biggest economical partner of Russia. Thousands of companies from two countries were cooperating, doing business, creating jobs, by the way, right? And wealth. And this terrorist regime of globalists in Berlin destroyed it all. For what? Anyways, by the way, some other topics. Let the Europeans sort it out, by the way. Let their Western societies sort this shit out, because they have to. Because if they would not deal with their own crazy elites, if their own terrorist, criminal, mass murderers, genocidal elites, by the way, they're going to pay heavy price. And at one point, people in the Western world will start realizing that either they will confront these crazies that are in charge there, hijack the power, basically, and are in charge, or their countries, their societies are finished, man, destined to a very dark place. And once this realization will settle into significant enough part of the societies in the West, I think we will see some changes then at that point. Because I don't think Western societies are suicidal, by the way. I really don't. Anyway, some other news. RT is reporting that Iran vows a harsh response to US or Israel in case of aggression. Iran has vowed to swifter and harsh response to any act of aggression following renewed military threats from the US and Israel. On Monday, US President Donald Trump, and I report about it, standing alongside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, threatened to knock the hell out of Iran if it tries to rebuild its nuclear or ballistic missile projects. In response, Rear Admiral Ali Shamkhani, a senior advisor to Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, declared on X that Iran's defense doctrine dictates that some responses are determined long before threats reached their stage of execution. He warned that any aggression would be met with an immediate and harsh response beyond the imagination of its planners. And, well, if during that 12-day war, in the beginning of that 12-day war, Iran's leadership was caught kind of off guard, because it seems like they actually believe that Trump was honest in that, or his representatives, by the way, were honest, Witkoff included, were honest during those negotiations with Iran. How they could believe them, man, I don't know. How Tehran could believe Trump or anyone else from the Washington, it's beyond my understanding, but they clearly were caught off guard, isn't it? And if you remember, we learned from Western media, including from Israeli media, that Trump personally was involved in deception operation. From the beginning, those talks with the Iranian side on nuclear program and stuff was a deception operation. And Trump and Witkoff were engaged in this personally, on a personal level, on behalf of Israel. You see? But nevertheless, okay, what happened, right? Iran was caught off guard. Then I don't think this will happen again. I don't think this will happen again. And Iranian leadership, as far as I can tell, is working actively to rebuild its defense systems, to rebuild its military capabilities. And there are quite a number of friendly nations are in active support of that. Quite a number of countries supporting Iran in achieving these goals to be in a position of protecting itself, right? And there was numerous cargo planes that flew, for example, from Russia to Iran, and we should keep in mind that Russia don't really need cargo planes to ship anything to Iran. Caspian Sea is there, right? And we can transfer any volume of weapons or any other things to Iran through Caspian Sea, right? And probably we did it. And Chinese, I'm quite sure Chinese also supplied quite a lot of stuff. Reports are that Iran is about to receive, or maybe even received, their Russian advanced fourth generation planes, radio electronic warfare systems, air defense systems, and reports are that China is also actively working with Iran while supplying all sorts of weapon systems. And talks are that maybe J-10 fighter jets will be also transferred to Iran. Could be the case. It's a J-10 fighter jets, isn't it, that become quite famous after India-Pakistan clashes recently. Rumors are that these Chinese J-10s managed to intercept quite a few Rafale fighter jets, beat them basically in air-to-air combat. Obviously, we cannot know for sure what had happened, but yes, J-10s received world recognition after that conflict, and the reputation of Rafale did, was destroyed in many ways. Although Rafale is a good plane, by the way. If anyone says that Rafale is a garbage, no, it's a good fourth generation fighter jet based on whatever data we have about its capabilities. But yes, in certain circumstances, any plane can be beaten by a lesser capable plane, right? It all depends on circumstances. But anyways, Iran is receiving all the necessary support, I think. And if US and Israel will go ahead with next round of war with Iran, I think Iran will not just defend itself, but will bring pain to its enemies, potentially on their soil, right? Not just in Israel, but US is not secure too, by the way. And if US attacks Iran, Iran has every right, literally every right, to take a war on US soil by any means necessary. It is what it is. War is war. And if US wants war with Iran, well, they should be ready to be on a receiving end of Iranian countermeasures too. That's how it works, right? Meanwhile, there is another area of escalation in the Middle East that many people probably didn't expect. It's northern Yemen, by the way. Northern Yemen, central northern Yemen, and escalation is happening between Saudi Arabia and UAE, right? Saudi Arabia, Yemen is divided, by the way, between several factions. This is an approximate map how Yemen is divided. This like green bluish color on a eastern on western part of Yemen, by the way, is an area which is controlled by Houthis, right? This dark blue color is an area which is controlled by Southern Transitional Council, and this council is supported by UAE, and the rest of the Yemen is controlled, or supposed to be controlled, by officially recognized government of Yemen, which is supported big time by Saudi Arabia. And yesterday I reported that Saudi Arabia conducted the strikes on territory of controlled by Southern Transitional Council. Area was attacked where weapons were stored, weapons received from United Arab Emirates. After these attacks, this internationally recognized government of Yemen, supported by Saudi Arabia, demanded UAE forces to withdraw in 24 hours. Quite a tough demand, by the way, 24 hours to withdraw. And shortly after that statement, Saudi Arabia joined this threat, and Riyadh make it clear. Saudi Arabia warned basically UAE that they will not hesitate to neutralize any threats to their national security. Saudi Arabia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated that UAE should withdraw its forces out of Yemen within the 24 hours, and that's exactly what United Arab Emirates did. Reports are that forces of the United Arab Emirates began the withdrawal, and by now probably they all left the Yemen, or mostly left Yemen. But again, this might come as a sort of a surprise for many, because we are talking about Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates, and probably very few people knew that there was tensions between the two, right? Saudi Arabia has quite a strange, difficult relationships with all the neighbors, right? And not just with Qatar, by the way, but with literally everybody. With Yemen, with Oman, with Bahrain, with UAE, obviously, with everybody. And tensions basically are based on this attitude of Saudi Arabia that they are big bosses in the area, right? They want to dominate, they want to dictate, right? And well, leadership of other countries also have some ambitions, right? Yeah, this does create some tensions among them. It's basically tensions between these royal families of the region, right? Because most of them are kingdoms formally, right? Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, by the way. All of them are monarchies, right? Of some sort. So yes, some tensions, but hopefully we will see the escalation, because only one force that will benefit from any level of escalation in the Middle East is the Western ruling class and their Zionist allies. Only they will benefit from any escalation in the Middle East, and they are dreaming about a regional war in the Middle East, right? So therefore everyone there should understand that they have to work towards peace. If they escalate, they're all gonna lose. They're gonna be no winners there. Meanwhile, this saga, by the way, continues in regards to Bella 1 tanker that was and still is pursued by U.S. Coast Guard and the militaries. They tried to board this tanker at one point, but tanker crew did not listen to demands of U.S. Coast Guard and the militaries. They ignored them completely. And for whatever reason, even though U.S. militaries can board a moving tanker, technically speaking, they did not. They did not, and there may be reasoning is that there are some PMC unit on this tanker, right? And neither U.S. Coast Guard, neither U.S. militaries wanted to have a close range fight with this PMC and to take casualties potentially, right? And you know what is funny, by the way? On the move, this tanker did not stop, and on the move, they painted the Russian flag on it. to protect themselves, that they painted Russian flag on it. And you know what? Maybe this is just a trick. Reports are that this tanker is linked to Iran, right? Not Russia, but Iran. But maybe there is some connection with Russia also, and or even if not, probably they were thinking that, you know what, probably we're going to be a little more safer if we will paint Russian flags. So let's do it, and they did. And the U.S. military still continue to pursue this tanker. By the way, I don't know what the hell is wrong with them. Why they not stop this illegal activity, but they are still in pursuit, right? And there also reports are, by the way, that nowadays some 50%, allegedly, some 50% of their vessels from the so-called shadow fleet that is working with Russia to transfer Russian energy, Russian oil, has raised the Russian flags. They are changing their jurisdiction, seems like, and they are coming under Russian flags, right? And they think this will protect them, and probably it will. I said quite a number of times that most likely we should expect that Russian Navy will start convoying or escorting vessels under the Russian flag to make sure that no one gonna try to do some crazy stuff there, right? So process is underway, and yeah, everybody should be careful, because you attack Russian vessel, should be ready for consequences. Commerçant newspaper, meanwhile, is reporting that China has practiced their capture of the key Taiwanese ports in large-scale military exercises around Taiwan, and I believe this is the biggest such exercises China has ever conducted. It's so big, by the way, that some commentators on the internet or even some media outlets began speculating that China is actually planning to attack Taiwan right now, while massing this many forces for these exercises. I don't think, I said it yesterday, isn't it? I don't think China gonna attack Taiwan today or tomorrow or anytime soon. But what I do think is that U.S. Leadership, Western ruling class, basically, at some point will manage to provoke military confrontation between China and Taiwan, anyways, because they have a huge experience of doing so, such a stuff, isn't it? They did manage to provoke a confrontation between Kiev and Moscow, isn't it? They did manage it, and it took some time, obviously, for them, but eventually they did it, and they are sacrificing now people that are living on this creation of Bolsheviks, on territory of this creation of Bolsheviks, and they are sacrificing them in millions. Same gonna happen with Taiwan. Then China is preparing. I think China will not exercise restraint in the way Russian leadership does. They're gonna go hard, man. They're gonna go in very hard, right, with their all force, and they would not care. They just would not care, man. They will smash everything and everybody that will stand against them. Russia has a very different attitude, by the way. Even though Taiwanese people are Chinese people, but I believe Beijing, if it comes to military hostilities, I think Chinese military has learned a lesson from special military operation, and they will act very differently. They will go extremely hard straight away. And they're going to be massive collateral damage as a result of that. But well, that's the price, I guess, that Taiwanese people will pay for being puppets of for allowing this terrorist regime controlled by the West to exist in Taipei. Everything has a price, When there was a coup d'etat in 2014, by the way, in Kiev, and when a vast majority of people in Ukraine stay sort of neutral, stay home, did not went out on the streets to confront these Western assets. Well, what happened after? These neo-Nazis actually overthrew the government. They began terrorizing everybody, right? They started civil war in Western Ukraine straight away. right? Straight away, by the way, they start killing and terrorizing thousands, tens of thousands of people all over their Ukraine, and thousands of people are still missing, by the way. No one knows where those people are. And then Western army cluster did manage to provoke a wider war, right? And millions being sacrificed. That's the price, by the way. That's the price that people, citizens of Ukraine, are paying for their reluctance to confront these Western assets in 2014, to allow these criminals to gain power. And I mean, this should be, prime example of for Taiwanese people. What will happen when you are reluctant to confront proxies of the foreign powers? You're gonna be sacrificed. You're gonna pay heavy price for this inactivity, and they will, by the way, as people in Ukraine do. Hundreds of thousands of them have been forcefully mobilized, thrown into trenches, and died there. Millions had to flee their homes, right? Millions went towards the western border. About 10 million are here in Russia. It's tragedy of the people, isn't it? And this all could be avoided if society in this former Soviet Republic did not allow that coup d'etat in 2014 to happen. But they were passive, they were inactive, by the way. They did not think about consequences, right? And that was a fatal mistake. That was a big mistake, by the way, for Ukraine and Ukrainian societies. Triad newspaper, meanwhile, is reporting, and this is, I believe, also important news, that BRICS Plus countries announced the joint naval exercises. And this is second time, by the way, I'm reading this type of news, that BRICS member states, BRICS exercises, naval exercises and stuff. Just recently, one of their commanders of IRGC, Iran's IRGC, by the way, stated that Iran has sent their Navy vessel to participate in the BRICS naval exercises. And now we have this report that several BRICS Plus countries will conduct naval exercises off the coast of South Africa in January 2026. Right now, by the way, in a couple of days, under the leadership of China, the South African Ministry of Defense announced, and the frame of this announcement is important. BRICS Plus countries conduct naval exercises. This is, I believe, hint, by the way. This is hint for things to come in regards to potential changes in the BRICS. And none of us should be surprised if in upcoming years, BRICS will actually build their new wing in organization, which will be more focused on security, assistance of each other, which will have a military, basically, component in it. Because this is definitely not a random stuff. I think this is definitely not a random stuff when BRICS is being mentioned there next to some military activity, exercises, and so on. This is very important, by the way, and I think this is good. I think this is good. Military cooperation, increase in military cooperation between BRICS member states will definitely bring them closer to each other. And my hope is, by the way, that first of all, China and India will get closer, right? Because we need that. These are major, obviously major countries in this world, China and India, and they have quite difficult relationships for numerous reasons. And more contacts they will have on different fields, including military fields, the better, right? They will understand each other better, and they'll be more willing to compromise with each other, right? And to basically reach far agreements that will, benefit both and benefit rest of the world. So I think this is important stuff, by the way. We should expect BRICS to build up its military wing too. It will take time, but nevertheless, definitely possibility. And I will end the news segment, dear friends, on this report that US banking giant reveals a massive Russia exit cost. Citigroup expects a loss of over $1 billion from the sale of its remaining business in the country. Okay, by the way, okay, sale of the unit to Russia's Renaissance capital is expected to result in a pre-tax loss of about 1.2 billion, bank said. Well, who is to blame, by the way? I have no freaking sympathies to bankiers, by the way, and the banks never will, really. I think banking system is an evil system, right? Hopefully humanity one day will reach a level when there will be no need in freaking money, right? We should not buy nothing, by the way, right? We should work, we should be useful for society, and whatever we need, we should get it, right? I know this is like stuff from utopia, but I'm quite sure at some point, if humanity will not destroy itself, at some point we will reach that level of civilization when there will be no need in freaking money, man, right? We should do whatever we can to be useful for society, and we should have everything that we need actually for to live, to have a decent life, right? Anyways, something interesting, I will say. Of course, for Citibank, $1 billion may not be much, but nevertheless, this is an indicator what is happening with the businesses that are betraying their customers, either here in Russia or elsewhere, right? And hopefully, all these companies that betray Russian consumers will never be allowed to come back. I don't want to see any of those companies here in Russia, but none of them, right? Companies that stay in Russia, companies that create new brands, find the ways to stay loyal to consumers. They should be applauded, obviously. They took risks and succeed in that. But companies that betray Russian consumers, betray Russian trust, should never be allowed back. None of them, right? Anyways, dear friends, this is it for now. Hopefully, you find new segment informative and useful. And Anna, my wife, just dropped her. Okay. Just dropped a screenshot. There was a donation, by the way, on a PayPal of $33. Thank you very much to a member of our community for $33 donation. Member did not wanted me to mention the name, so I will not. But comment is Happy New Year. Hope your prayers come true in 2026. Thank you very much. Happy New Year. Have a wonderful, successful 2026 and all the following years. Truly grateful for your support. Thank you very much. And of course, Happy New Year to all of you, dear friends. I wonder if there is already a New Year in Australia and New Zealand. Will be soon, if not yet. And let me check Rumble, dear friends, for super chat, if there was any. There was super chat on Rumble from Blorp, dear friends, active member of our community. And let me highlight, dear friends, this super chat. I forgot to turn off the volume when I opened the Rumble, so probably there was some noises there. Let me highlight now, dear friends, this super chat. So thank you very much, Blorp, for your super chatter, for your supporter and the commentary and $5 donation on Rumble. And comment from Blorp is, seems like governments in the West are in a panic to keep control of its citizens for a while longer through war, yet they don't value the lives of their soldiers that they are supposed to represent. And I agree with you, Blorp. I agree with you. It definitely seems like there is elements of a panic among Western ruling class. And I agree with you that they definitely don't value the life of the people, not just their soldiers, but I think they don't value life of the people and livelihood of the people, either outside of their own countries or even inside of their own countries. Look what German leadership did to Germany, by the way. Does it thinks like looks like they care about their own people? No, man. They destroy livelihood of millions of Germans, and that's why this alternative for Germany party is gaining support, because people just had enough, right? People are just very angry, by the way, on their elites, and they are looking for some alternatives, right? They are looking for a hope, and same processes can be observed in Italy, by the way. Although Meloni was a hope at some point for many Italians, but Meloni failed them big time. She's a grifter, right? From very first day in office, she was acting like her best friend of a globalist, right? Such a disappointment. But there was a hope in Italy too. But yeah, France is moving in that direction. There is a UK also, that where alternative parties gaining momentum. I believe a party of Farage, by the way, Reform UK party is the most popular party right now, potentially twice more popular than either Labours or their Conservatives, right? So which is quite telling, and this is a confirmation, direct confirmation of what you said, Blorp, that those people that are in charge in the West, they truly don't value a life of the people, not in their own countries, not outside of their countries. They are psychopaths, probably. You know, what else can you say? I mean, people with such a mindset that have no values, have no principles, they are psychopaths, right? I think this is right terminology for that. Thank you very much, Blorp, for your support and attention, and for being very, very helpful to this project and my work. Thank you very much. And of course, Happy New Year to you, and Happy New Year to all the members of our community. Truly grateful, dear friends, for having this opportunity, by the way, to stay in this field of news and political commentary, thanks to your attention and support. So thank you very much. And dear friends, let me check Boosty. It will take a minute. So there was nothing from Boosty. So okay, that's it then, dear friends. Last stream of 2025. I hope my work this year was okay enough, good enough. I will try my best to improve my work next year in 2026. I will try to make more content on YouTube and Rumble, and I will definitely try to make more content, extra content on my Patreon page and page on Boosty. This morning I published yet another extra on Patreon and Boosty of a little walk and talk that yesterday evening that we went for yesterday evening. You know, I filmed from some areas of the Moscow, including in on Red Square, by the way, and some other areas. Hopefully our community on Patreon and Boosty will like their video. And also right now, dear friends, member of our community, Patrick, donated through PayPal $20. Thank you very much, Patrick, for your support and attention. Truly grateful. Thank you and happy new year to you and your family and your friends and to your community in whichever country you are. Thank you very much. And once again, happy new year to you all, dear friends. I promise I try my best to be more informative, more and come up with more interesting programs next year. Grateful for this unique opportunity to work for you, to work in this field of news and political commentary. This is it for now. Take care and see you next year. By the way, see you tomorrow. Bye for now.